I'm back with my friend Andrew Pollack, whose daughter Meadow was killed in the Parkland shooting, 2018. He wrote a beautiful book about it, Why Meadow Died. He's now the Chief Safety Officer at Burner Technology. Andrew, to complete your thought, you're talking about this deputy at Parkland whose trial is coming up in September. Now, if he's convicted of a felony, I'm assuming that he won't be able to continue to collect this big fat pension, right?
Yep, that's, to get 110,000 a year for letting 17 people get killed, it's kind of horrible. So I hope I get accountability. My daughter would want me to get accountability. And I have to say, Governor DeSantis, I worked with him. He's one of the best governors in the country right now. We got accountability in Broward. A lot of people don't know this. Within the first month, Governor DeSantis removed that failed sheriff that said he had amazing leadership. Sheriff Israel, he was removed.
Yeah.
Since then, we had a grand investigation into the school district. The superintendent was arrested on felony perjury charges, Dinesh. He lost his job. And this Peterson, Deputy Peterson's trial is coming up in September.
Andrew, let's come to the shooter for a moment, because people focus on sometimes the negligence of the institution, and that's certainly relevant. Of course, the left likes to focus on the gun, an inanimate object, but the gun is the villain here. I want to focus a little bit on who these shooters are, because you looked very closely at the Parkland shooter. And my guess is that there's some similar patterns here. So talk a little bit about how these shooters seem to come through the system, develop these pathologies, and then take it out in this way. Talk about the Parkland shooter, and maybe let's relate it a little bit to the Uvalde shooter.
Sure. Well, we could relate them. We don't know enough, but I know that this shooter in Uvalde didn't wake up one day and just decide to kill his grandmother and 19 people. He comes from a broken home, which most of these kids, it's a big problem in America now. People don't realize it. My son told me this yesterday. Dad, he goes, with inflation and the cost of living, it forces parents to work so much that a lot of these kids are home. They're on these computers. They're playing these games. And a lot of them, there's broken homes involved. Comparison to the Buffalo shooter, to the Parkland shooter, both of them threatened to shoot their schools up and kill people and weren't arrested, both of them. If you arrest these kids when they threaten, they're unable to purchase a rifle. The biggest issue in this country right now is the mental health counselors in this country. They don't deem these sick individuals a threat to themselves or society. They let them back into society where they're a danger to us and our children and our families. They should put this on their background, Dinesh. It's a big problem in this country. There's a fine line between mentally ill and evil, right? And the way society's going, these mental health caseworkers, it's very rare that they go through the system where they get in front of a judge. It's called the Baker Act in Florida, where it's put on their background. So what good is anyone going to a mental health care facility or counseling if when they're a danger, it doesn't go on their background? So that's a big problem. These kids are sick. They all know there's something wrong with them. See something, look in Parkland, see something, say something. Lots of kids said something, and the authorities didn't do anything. I'm sure it's the case. Look, it happened in Buffalo. You're going to find out it's going to happen in Uvalde. It's going to happen again. So, forget Biden just signed that executive order against police officers, which is ridiculous. We should be giving them the tools. How about an executive order against the healthcare counselors that let these individuals out into society where they're a danger to us? It's really horrible.
I mean, it seemed like
that's what's going on, people. That's what's going on with these sick individuals. They're not getting the background. So it's a big problem.
Is it the case that when they make these threats that the counselors regard this as being just some kind of a verbal acting out that they need to be counseled about and given therapeutic advice? Is that what it is? Or are they restricted by law in interpreting these threats as serious? Is the problem with the law, or is it just with the fact that you've got very liberal counselors who don't take this kind of thing seriously enough?
I think it's the system somehow. You know, I'm on the pulse of it firsthand because my wife, Julie, she works in the ER. Okay. She's an ER physician. What the police do, like they did in Buffalo, and the same thing in Parkland. The kid threatens to shoot the school up, he gets reported, or in any instance, threatens to kill people, anyone, you know, at any age. The police will go get him. There's no facility to bring him to, okay? Their system is, let's just bring him to the hospital. The police throughout the country use the hospitals as dumping grounds for these type of mentally ill people. They'll bring them to the hospital. They get evaluated. They'll ask them, do you want to hurt anybody? You're going to kill? No, I didn't mean it. And within 24 hours, they're back out on the street without a record. And that's going on. You know, my wife sees an individual like these shooters, like every 2 months, you'll see one come through on her shift that's between evil and mentally sick, which it's very close, you know, and they don't have a background. So they come in, the police dump them off at the hospital. They go through the system, and then they're back out on the street where they're able, no matter how many gun laws there are in that state, they're able to go legally and purchase a rifle because there's nothing on their background that they're mentally ill.
Unbelievable.
And that's the problem. Yep, that's what happens. But I'd like to discuss what parents could do, you know, if that's okay. I'd like to help the parents that are listening to your show.
Yeah, you know what? Let's take a pause. When we come back, let's do a segment on what parents can do.